Hey, it's Honey. Welcome to another episode of the You Only Live Once Life and Business Innovation Style Meditations, Yummy Conversations. And today we're going to be talking about 10 tips to orgasmic experiences for girls. So 10 orgasmic tips for girls. And the reason I'm doing this is because I am actually releasing a bunch of different orgasmic introductions and how that can link to your flow, just like how we're using our yummy abundance map to link our yummiest selves to our businesses, to our visions, and to the rest of our lives. And orgasms is one of the biggest source of energies, especially for women. And there's a long story behind that you will find out in the book or in the podcasts or in any of those different platforms. And so today I wanted to talk about these 10 tips because the biggest challenge is if we don't get an orgasm and we don't know how to get that reliably and excitingly and yummily, then we're really not tapping into the potential that we have in our bodies and the energy that we have that can give us natural attraction, so that even when we see things that we're intimidated by, when we're in our natural flow, we actually have that confidence, whether it's in our bodies, in our minds, or in our day-to-day lives. And it's really helped people not only in the bedroom but also at work and in situations that they usually aren't as confident in. So without further ado, let's go into step 1. So step 1 is defining your orgasmic experience. And you can do this rather than constricting yourself to only experiencing orgasms in the bedroom. You can also tune into the energy of orgasm. So what orgasmic energy or what orgasmic experience are you looking for? Orgasms or orgasmic experiences, or both? So pick one or the other or both, and that will be your focus and intention for the rest of these tips. So tip 2. Understand where you are right now. Whatever you picked earlier, understand where you are right now. So just take one of them for an example. So in the idea of orgasms, how satisfied are you from a scale of 1 to 10? If you're satisfied at a level 1, you got to be honest with yourself and just know that that's okay. And if you're satisfied at a level 5 or 6, that's okay too. Wherever you are, you've got to be honest with yourself, because this is the most important part in order to change that. If you're in denial and you're pretending you're at a different scale than you actually are, then that doesn't really help you understand if you've progressed in it or not. So understand where you are, and also, even more importantly, honor where it is that you do want to be. Are you looking for a 10 out of 10, or are you happy from going from a 1 out of 10 to a 4 out of 10? Are you happy simply by progressing, even if it's 1.5 out of 10 after being 1? So whatever that is for you, understand where you are and where you want to go, and that's going to be the basis in which you can start filling the distance between where that is. Step 3, and tip 3, throw away all preconceived notions about orgasms and orgasmic experiences, because every single experience is unique. And so that means that if you're hung up on a definition of what it needs to look like, what it should look like, what movies show you, what you have experienced before, then you're really narrowing your ability to enjoy and pleasure in a very narrow window. And you want to be able to expand that definition so that you can receive more orgasms, more orgasmic experiences, more pleasure, and even more abundance, which we talk a little bit about in this book and in the course, actually, where you can understand how you can use this energy. And not only this concept of understanding how you can receive more pleasure, but the same concept applies to wealth, abundance, and other energies that fulfill you. So what is and are the things that you're going to throw away, and the expectations and the judgment and the pressure that you're going to throw away? So if you allow yourself to do that, say yes inside and allow yourself to really get rid of those. Number 4, redefine your orgasm. right? Orgasm does not always, just relating to the previous point, always need to be constricted between the amount of times you contract in a certain amount of time, which is the classical description of what it means to reach a climax. However, as women, or as we know, orgasm has evolved since then. The understanding of orgasm has evolved, and that means that you can also have orgasms that are longer and that can extend throughout a period of time, and it doesn't just have to be that super intense moment. So redefine yours. A definition that I really like, that I use, and that ensures even more winning experiences is the maximum amount of pleasure you can feel at any given moment in time. And that's one of my favorite ones because that ensures that I get that experience at any time, and it's completely possible, and it helps me expand my potential of experiencing more. And that's the definition and the concept that I also learned while studying with people who've been experts at this for 30 years. So number 5, sensuality. The concept of sensuality states that you are able to receive pleasure and experiences from all of your senses. So the more sensuality you have, the more pleasure you have. So the tip number 5 is to increase your sensuality. Increase your sense of touch, increase your sense of smell, your eyes, awareness, and taste. The more you can sense, the more pleasure you can bring to your body, and the more ability and pathways you can have in order to feel and sensationize and feel these sensations of orgasmic experience as well as orgasms. Number 6. So the more pleasures you have, the more orgasms you have. The more pleasure you're able to hold in your body, the more capacity you have to hold that orgasm. So it's not just your genitals that are starting to contract, but when you are able to have more pleasure, you might also be able to expand it into a more full-bodied orgasm. And of course, this is something that is not done over time. I mean, it's not done overnight. So it does take a certain level of commitment, which brings us to step number 7, or tip number 7, which is commitment. If you realize that there are joys and desires of creating this pleasure within yourself, which by the way, you're made for, then you got to commit to it, because it does take practice and it's not something that's overnight. We don't come out of the womb learning and knowing how to do this, and very little media covers this. So it does take commitment, and just like anything that's worth doing, it does take a daily commitment. It's a practice. It's something to teach yourself on how to get sensitized to these sensations, because the more that you feel, the more pleasure you can feel. And it's not something that goes from 0 to 100, but it's something that you build upon every single day. And so step number 8 is that if you feel like, damn, this is too much every single day, I don't want this, I'm not like that. Well, you know what? Pleasure is a priority. It's not something that will take over and to have you ignore everything else, but it is a priority, and it doesn't take more than 5 minutes a day. Even if you spend 30 seconds, it's enough. Whatever you start, it's something that you can do every day, and it will yield results if you do that. Just like if you were to do a handstand every day, and even if you start by just standing in a downward dog position, or if you were to practice handwriting every single day, or a new language, right? If you do something all the time, you're going to improve. So prioritize it so that you can. And number 9, now that you know that you can commit to it, you've got to take action today. Start today. There's no better way than to turn on this video, grab the course, grab some resources, grab support, and start experiencing how to expand your level of orgasm and expand your levels of sensation. And you can do that today, right now. And you can do that in 5 minutes, or you can do that in 30 seconds. Small commitments, but consistent ones will lead you to your results. Number 10, get support. So the tip number 10 is get support, whether it's a therapist, whether it is a course, whether it is someone that is an expert in this area. Get the support that you need so that you don't have to trial and error all the way on your own. Because if you do trial and error, you may take a very long time. Whereas walk the path that people have walked before and explore your own definition within that path. And it also helps with accountability. So these are the 10 tips for orgasmic experiences for girls. And also I want to share with you that I have a free course that I've just made, and I don't know how long it's going to stay free, but I just did a podcast, and I did actually another podcast on the Girls Skill podcast on orgasm and abundance and how that applies to business. And then one of the other ones that are in bed, where I lead both hosts through an orgasmic experience on the podcast itself, is going to be dropping soon. And you can also get the free course while it's still free at yoloabundance.com/orgasm. YOLOABUNDANCE.com/orgasm. So I hope you enjoyed this. I love tying together business, orgasm, and just life in general, and making our lives yummy. And so because when you're yummy in your body, you're yummy in your life. Pop down in the comments below if you're one of the 1% who watched all the way till the end. I'd love to hear from you. And of course, subscribe if you haven't yet. And thanks for being here. Love you. Talk to you soon.